Editorial board member Steve Moore is joining me now to talk about the House and Senate results. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks,
I just
Sarah.
want to throw up the market reaction.
You want to throw up?
I don't know if we can
A lot
get that up
of
on the
conservatives
screen.
feel
Yeah.
that way today.
Well, look, I think anybody with a 401k right now is feeling a little queasy looking at the judgment on the markets right now. So let's talk about this, Steve. Let's dive right in. Good night for Republicans anywhere in the House or Senate?
Well, it would have been hard to believe, 3 months ago, Mary, that Republicans would lose Senate seats because, after all, the Democrats had far more seats they had to defend than the Republicans, but they actually did end up losing a seat or two on net. So it was a pretty bad night. There were a few victories for Republicans.
Where?
Jeff Flake won in Arizona. Now, he was kind of expected to, but that was close. The Democrats had a pretty good candidate there. The Republicans won in Nebraska, and the Republicans won in Nevada. Those were all three fairly hotly contested races, but those are, when you think about it, those are pretty red states. So, but everywhere else, every other close race they lost, Mary.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of these important races that they did lose. I'm thinking of Massachusetts and Elizabeth Warren. As I was talking about with Kim earlier, Senator-elect Warren says, don't worry, I'm going to compromise with Republicans, Democrats, vegetarians, libertarians, anybody who's out there. Given this new makeup in the Senate, do you believe that kind of talk, or do you think the Democrats are going to wield this power?
Warren, and then you had another big surprise in Wisconsin, where Tammy Baldwin, who represents Madison, and she's a very liberal. She was one of the most liberal members of the House. I don't see her moving much to the right when she gets to the Senate. So, as I look at these new senators that have been elected, there are some real hardcore liberals like Warren and like Tammy Baldwin. On the other hand, if you look at the two races the Republicans are really smarting over losing in North Dakota and Montana. In both those states, the Democrats ran as centrists, and they said, we're pro-energy development, we want to drill, baby, drill. So they ran against the president's energy policies and environmental policies, and that's how they won.
Let's talk about the House and what happened with the GOP in the House. There were some expected wins. A guy like Tom Cotton, for example, in Arkansas, very strong fiscal conservative.
A couple themes in the House. One is Democrats continue to lose in the South. So, we're a red state, blue state nation now more than ever before. That's one of the themes, I think, of this election, is the red states turned redder and the blue states turned bluer. And so there were three blue dog Democrats, as we call them, who lost their seats. There aren't many.
Blue dog being moderates.
Yes, and there really aren't many of them left. They're an endangered species now. They're almost extinct. The other thing that happened is Republicans, we don't know exactly because there's about 4 or 5 races where they're going to be doing recounts, but it looks like Republicans lost somewhere between 6 and 10 seats. They had a 25-seat majority, so they held on. And, a lot of Republicans, given how bad a night it was otherwise, they're breathing a sigh of relief that they held the House.
How about the Tea Party contingent? A lot of focus on it.
Yeah, not so good.
Yeah, why not so good, Steve, if we're running trillion-dollar annual deficits?
That is a great question. I think one of the themes of this election is, when it came to the deficit and debt, people didn't care. You just look at the results. Republicans ran against the debt. Democrats, said we can kind of continue with the policies we have. So if you're somebody who's really concerned about this enormous $1.2 trillion deficit, I'm not sure this was a ringing acclamation to do something now about bringing the debt down.
Well, as we started off the segment, the market sure has made a judgment, and it looks.
Well, it's an anti-investment investor outcome, and you're seeing that.
I think it looks. I think ugly is a nice word.